Sneakers and Cleats, the podcast.
Welcome back to the Sneakers and Cleats podcast. It is Monday, November 25th. This is episode 153. Don Harris, Chuck McKinnick, Matt Roy on tap. Thank you so much for joining us on this Thanksgiving week. Gentlemen, Thanksgiving week, holiday season is officially upon us.
Thanksgiving, a lot to be thankful for.
Absolutely. I'm thankful that we're still sitting here in this chilly room.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wore long sleeves today, though, so that's good. But that was really just to represent the Sun Devils.
Well, they know how to celebrate, don't they?
Too early, in fact. They had to win that game twice. The funniest part about that was they had to re-put up the goalpost because they tore down the goalpost, and then they were like, oh, crap, got to put it back up.
Arizona State student Bobby, why am I not surprised?
Really funny. I can't. I shouldn't say that on air. Never mind. Well, no.
Most things that happen at Arizona State, you can't say.
Well, no. A friend of mine, because it's ASU and BYU, they named it something. You know how it was with Miami and Notre Dame. They named it something.
Yeah.
My friends named it something that I can't say on air.
Yeah,
so
you can't.
I shouldn't, at least. Would probably be fine. But anyway, so before we get started, two housekeeping things real quick. We will not have an episode on Thursday for obvious reasons. Everyone enjoy your Thanksgiving. We will talk about a bunch of Spurs, Cowboys, UTSA today. But everyone enjoy their Thanksgiving. Enjoy football on Thanksgiving. Hopefully you take a nap during the Cowboys game, which is just going to be awful. But with Tommy DeVito and Cooper Rush starting that game.
I don't know, man. You play like Cooper Rush did yesterday. That'd be worth watching.
Fair enough. We're going to get into that. Second thing is I want to remind everyone, subscribe to the YouTube channel, News 4 Fox SA. If you're so inclined, download, rate, review the podcast. It helps us out a lot. Like I said, we're going to get to a lot of stuff here today. Since we don't have an episode on Thursday, Cowboys win really one of the most wild games of the NFL season.
For sure.
Anybody who had the under in that game is cursing the world because the under was 44. And they scored 41 in the fourth quarter alone. So the Spurs are good, maybe. They won three. They're on a 3-game win streak, beat the Warriors, the Jazz, and the Thunder, two of the best teams in the Western Conference in the last 3 games, playing again tomorrow. So talk about that. Plus UTSA, roadrunners are eligible for a bowl once again for their 5th straight year in the season from hell for the roadrunners. Just an outstanding coaching job by Jeff Traylor and playing by this young team. So we'll get into that, how they can maybe progress this in the future with revenue sharing becoming a thing as well. Plus a little bit of Thanksgiving talk, favorite Thanksgiving memories, ham or turkey. We'll get into that, and maybe favorite Thanksgiving foods. So no trivia today since we have so much on the docket. Let's get right into the Spurs. So guys, are the Spurs good?
I don't know yet.
9-8 through 17 games. First time they've been over 500 this late into the season since 2021 season. First 3-game win streak at home since 2021. First time 7-3 at home since 17-18 season. They're playing really well.
A couple things are true, right? And that is, Oklahoma City and Golden State had the best record in the West when the Spurs beat them. So they're no joke. They did this. They won the second game without Devin, Keldon, or Jeremy. They won the first game without Devin and Wemby. Chris Paul's been better than we thought. Harrison Barnes has been better than we thought.
He's been really good.
Steph Castle's been better than we thought.
There it is.
And then and Wemby comes back and goes for 25 and 9. They're really improved defensively. What I like is the fact that they're playing so many different guys that, Mamu's chipping in and Trey Jones is chipping in and Champagne's chipping in. And most nights where they have good wins, there's 7 guys in double figures, all with about 12 points. And then 1 guy with 20. That's either Harrison Barnes or Wemby usually. And so they're balanced and they're guarding. I don't know what the number is, but, they've notoriously been dead last in defense the last couple of years. And they're in the top 3rd.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the new numbers. I brought it up to you guys, I think, last Monday on the podcast. So they're significantly better defensively.
Yeah, and I think they can beat anybody, and they have.
They have. And I mean, I think we talked about it on this show about it was important for them to get off to this kind of start, right? With as many home games as they've had early on in the season. And to me, I think it's what Don says too. The fact that they're doing it differently, right? Doesn't seem to matter who's in or out of the lineup. They have enough bodies. I mean, you dust off Charles Bassey. He comes out and blows the doors off the game. Then he doesn't sniff the court. the next day. But no matter who they're sticking in there, to Don's point, Mamu comes in and was plus 14 in the 15 minutes that he was on the floor the other night. You think it's just a little stint that he gets into the game for some quote unquote, garbage time to rest some guys so that they can be fresher at the end of the game. But yet you extend the game by having somebody chip in to that degree. And I think it is kind of fascinating to see the fact that they are closing games and they are doing it differently. I think gives you reason to hope that this might be a pretty decent team.
Yeah, to that end, Bob, I think we should put a timer on the how long it takes for him to stay Steph Castle, just like me with Bo Nix. I think we should start putting out a timer on that.
It should be the first thing we say every time. Every time.
Yeah, we should just come out and say Bo Nix and.
Or if you're
Stephon
playing
Castle.
a parlor game.
I mean, second thing is
Did you see what Steph posted on his Instagram?
No.
It was something. It wasn't the word victim, but it was something to the effect of another victim. And he's standing over Steph Curry.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I love it.
So it's like
I didn't see that.
Very, very, very sassy, very swaggy.
Sassy like Charles Bassey.
To say like I killed another one. Like, and he did. I mean, Curry was awful in that game because of his defense.
To that point, though, they ended that game on a 40-13 run. A team last year wouldn't have done that. Right. They ended up winning by 10. They were down by 17 at one point, ended up going on that run. The team last year would have curled into a ball in the fetal position and gotten rolled by 30, except for maybe the last 20 games or so. This year, this team fights, and it's something that I think we're all encouraged to see, that no matter what the deficit is, they're going to come out and they're still going to try and punch you in the mouth and play good defense, because that's what travels. That's what really wins games.
Yeah.
Right now, they're 9-8. They still, whole season in front of them. Is this something that's sustainable for them, this kind of ball?
Yeah, I think so, because of how many bodies are being involved, right? You talked about the guys that have been in and out of the lineup because of injury, and yet they're playing overall pretty well. There's some gaps and some lapses, and, that the first half of that Utah game the other night was like watching the clown show, and then all of a sudden it was like the Spurs had morphed into the Jazz and vice versa, because then the Jazz looked like the clown show in the second half, and then the Spurs ended up winning that game pretty easily, considering how far they were down. I think they were down 20 points in that game. So I think it is sustainable, because it feels like it doesn't matter what the combinations are. Guys are getting more and more comfortable playing together on both ends of the floor.
They have to shoot a decent percentage from three. That's the difference when this team is really bad and when they're really good. When they're going in, when Wemby's like 6 of 12 from 3-point land, and Castle's making his, and Champagne's making his, they're a completely different team than a lot of nights where Wemby's 1 for 8 from 3. So it's it's the game. It's just when the ball goes in, you're a lot better.
Have these last couple of games changed your outlook on what this team's ceiling is at all?
No, I think I picked them to go 41-41, and they're right there at that. And I'm still a little nervous that they can get to that. But it also wouldn't surprise me if they go on a 10-game winning streak at some point.
Yeah, so, I mean, it depends on what they're able to do. Can they take what they're doing at home and then do it on the road? We'll see. Has it changed my outlook? I'm not sure either. I mean, I think, this should be a team. I think most of us thought you should be making a run at a playoff spot.
I don't think it's changed my outlook either, because I expected this. Not this, maybe this early in the season, but to your point, I think we all thought they were going to be right around 500. They're at 500 right now. I was more impressed, though, with what I've seen in these last 2 games. I'm more impressed with how this team has looked early in the season than I thought I would be. But I still think they'll be, maybe 43-39, somewhere around 500. Although that win against the Warriors really showed me a lot of strength and mettle on the squad.
The difficult thing for Mitch is going to be like balancing lineups. Like, what happens when Jeremy and Devin and Keldon are all healthy, and you got guys like Castle and Wesley and Bassey and Mamu and Harrison and Chris. I mean, this team has been so far 12 deep. Like, you're not going to be able to play that many guys. So who, other than Malachi, is left out?
Bob?
We got a comment from Daniel. He says the value CP3 has brought to this team is showing their IQ, spacing, motion, defense, etc.
Yeah.
100.
Yeah. CP3's done
100.
wonders for this.
In that Oklahoma City game, he was out of the game with like 3 minutes to go. They put him back in, and he just says, "Go over here, set the screen for me here." And they got a screen, and he bounced past it to Castle for a layup. And he's like, "Go where I tell you guys to go." It's so great to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it improves everybody's IQ on the floor.
Yeah,
for sure. But we saw that coming. Like,
yeah.
You get someone like CP3, it's what you're going to get. You're going to get that floor general. You're going to get a guy that'll tell the young guys exactly what to do. And you're not going to win every game. He's not going to make them a 60-win team, but he might make them a 40-win team.
And he's made big shots too.
Yeah, 100%. He made that one
fall away 3.
Yeah, fall away 3. What game was that again? Was that OKC?
Yeah.
Yeah, because OKC was trying to make the run right at the end, and I saw that one by CP3. I was like, I've seen that for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Right, and the fact that they're getting him with that contract is just. I mean, that's more of a shame on the rest of the league, right?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody thought, okay, he's taking a pay cut, but at least he'll get playing time here, and whatever it is that they thought. But the fact that this guy still has some value, probably more value on a team like this that's eager to take some direction from a guy that's got some skins on the wall.
He came to win, man.
And Harrison
no
Barnes,
doubt, he didn't come in.
Harrison Barnes has been phenomenal.
Over 20 a game in the last 3 games.
Absolutely. You mentioned the clown show. I want to talk about the Cowboys here for a second. So the Cowboys beat the Commanders yesterday, 34-26. That game was 3-3 at halftime, I want to say. 10-9 going into the fourth quarter. Ends up 34-26 because of some wild stuff that happened in the fourth quarter. Main takeaways from that game for me, even though they're a 4-7 team, I thought that that's probably their best defensive game of the year outside of the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, even though they gave up over 400 yards of offense.
Yeah, but you take out the 84-yarder to McLaurin in the last 2 plays of the game. You take out like a couple of those like weird ones, and they had a really good game. And I think Micah even said it. This was their best game outside of the last 7-8 minutes of the game. I mean, they were killing Jaden Daniels.
I don't think there's any question. I mean, because again, the goal is to play complementary football, the fact that they did what they did on offense, being that undermanned with 2 offensive linemen out, and then having Cooper Rush be, 24 of 32 or something stupid like that. Big plays. They made them, and then they had 2 kick returns. Everybody did their part yesterday to get that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Ferguson's out too, and he just did that stuff that they were doing with Dak, that little throw it underneath, and he had a couple of long completions downfield to Tolbert too. So, yeah, it was a total team effort. But all that said, we might not be gushing over the Cowboys if Washington can make an extra point.
True.
Because if that game goes to overtime and they lose an OT, that would be the most ridiculous kick in the gut of all time after what they did.
Well, yeah, Kevontae Turpin, who is phenomenal, by the way. I want to give him his flowers. He is probably the best kick returner in the league, and I don't really think it's that close. He said when he took his kick return back, which was really, really insane to see, that he spin moved like 4 yards away from the guy and still juked the entire place out. He was like, yeah, I thought that was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, there goes the 84, 87-yarder to McLaurin, and it's all brand new ball game. Yeah, nobody. Ridiculous. You had 8 guys back in coverage, and nobody touches him at all. Even though they pretty much shut him down the rest of the game. This is this one time that Scary Terry got open. Yeah, the defense I thought looked good. Deron Bland, I think, made a difference having him back. I just want to see him and Trayvon on the same freaking field at the same time.
I think they do too.
Doesn't seem like we're ever going to see it. But
yeah, Jordan Lewis is probably playing a little hurt. I mean, there's some guys that are really gritting it out right now, 88 included. I mean, his shoulder's not right.
It's no rest for the weary. They're going to be playing against the Giants on Thursday on Thanksgiving. But let's hear from Micah right after the game. This is what he had to say.
Yeah, I told you I'm not done yet. I don't plan on tanking. If the higher ups was looking for a draft pick, I hope that's ruined because we got a lot of football left to play. Like I said, as long as I'm a part of this team, we're always going to fight. I'm always going to give maximum effort. I owe it to these guys. I owe it to the fans that come out. I owe it to the brothers in the locker room. So, me not playing at my best and me not being here, I'm hurting other people and their families. So, this is deeper than just, wins. Like this is, at one point, I think this is just about pride. Like it's easy to play when we're up. People call us front runners, now playing behind the 8 ball, let's see how we can, handle adversity and see if we can make a playoff run. But we got a long ways to go. We got to win game after game and consistently do that and play good for these next, we got 7 games, 6? 6 games. 6 games.
You look at the schedule, It's not unthinkable. The Giants have packed it in, so they're going to win on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, they're favorites, 4-point favorites.
And then you got Cincinnati and Carolina. I don't know if they can beat Cincinnati, but they'll beat Carolina. So there's a couple more wins there.
We've said that we don't know if people can beat Cincinnati for a long time, and for some reason, people just keep beating Cincinnati.
They could win 3 in a row. They could win another 3 in a row right here.
They could, and that's that. I put the schedule down here just so we could look at it. It's like you played the Giants, you expect to win that game with Tommy DeVito, and how bad that team looks. They look like they quit. They look like they've completely quit on everything.
They've quit.
Obviously, the players don't think Tommy DeVito should be starting. If you heard what Malik Neighbors said, he's pissed off as all hell. Like that team is a joke.
They're
an entire clown show. But you look at the Panthers almost beat the Chiefs yesterday, so I don't know if that's a gimme by any means.
But that's winnable.
Bryce Young's playing much better, and the Bengals are still a powerful offense with the worst defense in the NFL. So
they could go 3-0 or they could go 1-2.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they lost all 3, to be honest.
No, I mean, because I think that's what we said going in, right? We have to see a game where they put 4 quarters together.
Yeah.
And they put 3.5.
They almost did it yesterday.
Almost 4 quarters together yesterday before things got a little wobbly there at the end. But finally, we saw it with our own 2 eyes. It's not easy to beat a division rival. It's not easy to beat a division rival at 7-4. So at least based off of yesterday's performance, there is hope going forward. You would think short week benefits the Cowboys coming off of, not only that big victory, but the fact that the Giants are reeling. But, Cincinnati won't be an easy game. I can assure you that the Panthers won't be an easy game. They gave the Chiefs all they could handle yesterday.
Yeah, my wife
have racked up a few wins here lately, or at least a couple wins here lately. So, let's see. But I was just telling Bob earlier, man, this reminds me of the scene in Godfather 3, right? Where Michael Corleone goes, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Yeah. It was nice to see that they were able to have some life yesterday, play with pride, as Micah said. I think we all saw that yesterday with the effort.
I think that's the main takeaway that I had from that Micah bite was like they showed fight. And I think that's what we've been wanting to see from them all along is they've been so Hollywood for so long this year where it's like, oh, poor us. But they finally showed some of the grit that we want them to show against good teams.
Until the McLaurin play.
Yeah, I mean, they did their best, all right. But I think it also says something about the Cowboys and the fight that they showed that they probably had the worst special teams day ever until the third quarter. Like a blocked kick, a blocked punt, a missed field goal by Brandon Aubrey, which you don't count on at all now because he's probably the best kicker in football. They were having a horrible day filled with mistakes, and you still somehow find a way to pull it out, even though on the onside kick, he probably should have knelt. Let's just call a spade there. But
hold on a second. Are you guys saying that the Cowboys could possibly make the playoffs?
No.
So what do these wins mean?
These wins don't mean anything. These wins mean something to the players on the field.
Don't they hurt you?
They hurt this franchise, but they don't hurt the players.
They do hurt you.
They don't hurt the players.
I mean, in terms of where you're going to draft and all that next year, of course. But I mean, these games are precious, and they're precious to the guys that play in them. Not many people are ever afforded the opportunity to play in an NFL game, much less a season, much less have a career, because careers are so short. And I think that's what impressed me most yesterday. Remember when McCarthy did his press conference with the news of Dak being out for the year? And I said, this dude's got a little pep in his step. You know why? Because now we get to see how this guy can coach when he has fewer options in which to put on the field.
Yeah, he's worried about where his kids are going to go to school next year.
Can I say,
I mean,
the most Cowboys thing ever will be when they finish the season 7-10.
As predicted by me before the season started.
And they re-signed Mike McCarthy to a new 4-year contract.
Well, again, I don't. If
he might deserve it at that point.
If you would have told anybody going into that game yesterday, a 10.5-point dog, you were going to have 2 offensive linemen that were making their first starts. You had a quarterback that wasn't Dak. You had 88 playing hurt, 87 out. You had over $100 million in salary, not on that football field. And then to have, how can you not give Mike McCarthy credit for doing 100%. Less with more? I mean,
that's
where he has made his he's made a career out of doing exactly what you saw yesterday.
A little bit sweeter too, having that win over Dan Quinn and all of the former Cowboys on that roster. So let's get to UTSA here. If the Cowboys make it to 6-7, then I'll be brought back in, just like the Godfather. So UTSA becomes bowl eligible for the 5th straight year under Coach Traylor. The win versus Temple was a very UTSA-like win. They turned the ball over too many times, but they had so many big plays. The Robert Henry run, the Chris Carpenter kickoff return. It was phenomenal. But I think this comes in a season from hell for them. After the Tulsa game, they were literally, or not literally, figuratively, even though Jeff Traylor will say literally, they were figuratively in the pits of hell. They gave up a 20-some-odd point lead against Tulsa. We're looking at a horrible season that they had no chance to become bowl eligible in. They reel off 3 straight wins. They're bowl eligible once again with 12 guys out for the season. And it's just, the triangle is real. I mean,
and 18 guys out, 12 out for the year. They've had a couple be out. They haven't had everybody at the same week. So they've
never had a fully healthy team this year.
2 guys might come back, but another 2 guys are out. He's down his top 4 offensive linemen, his top 4 defensive linemen. At one point, he was down 5 receivers, and they went to a tight ends game plan.
Yeah, they were playing 13 personnel for most of the game.
And now a couple of those guys have come back.
Amador,
but he's got a freshman quarterback for all intents and purposes, who, by the way,
is
phenomenal. Really good. I don't want to say he's better than Frank Harris, but if you projected him out 2 more years, 3 more years, got him for 3 more years, he could be better than Frank Harris. This kid can sling it, and they're putting up big numbers.
Their offense is clicking. I want to hear from Jeff real quick what he said after the game, and then we can get to talking.
But I was proud of my kids. I mean, we were literally in the pits of hell coming back from Tulsa, and that was the longest plane ride maybe we've ever been on. And if you'd have told us we were going to beat Memphis, North Texas, Temple, and be bowl eligible after blowing that lead we blew, somebody thought you were crazy. But for the 5th year in a row, our guys are going bowling, and never been prouder of a group for hanging in there and really believing in what we teach, the triangle, and they believe in the culture. I mean, it's most teams go away. Those guys just don't, man. There's 26 seniors we celebrated out there tonight, and I'm really glad I get to coach them another month.
It's just what they've done this year is no small feat. I mean, I know we all expected them to come out and maybe win 10 games and hopefully, compete for a college football playoff spot. But with all the injuries that they've had, with the blown leads that they've gone through, Tulsa, Rice, ECU, all of them held the lead in the 4th quarter of those games and ended up blowing all 3 of them. Where they are, where they've gotten to, is a huge testament to the coaching job that Jeff and his staff have done, Chuck.
I agree. I mean, I'll let you guys riff on UTSA because, I want to talk about just the college coaches we have here in general. I mean, at Trinity with Jeremy Urban, making them a playoff team essentially every year, and then the job that Quint Killow has done at UIW. So you guys go ahead and, there's lots to talk about with UTSA, but I'm more versed on UIW and what's going on over there.
UIW's had 3 coaches. The coach that's at North Texas, Eric
Morris,
Morris, and then the guy that's at Texas State, GJ, and now this guy, and they don't miss a beat, man. They don't miss a beat.
Yeah,
they're recruiting well, and they got a guy that might win the Heisman Trophy at Miami.
Yeah,
Cam Ward.
So it's unbelievable, and I don't know that Coach Clint Killow has gotten enough credit for what he's done because. It looks like, okay, he just kept the ball rolling or took the baton and he's run with it. But, they had to hire some new staff members. They had to replace 60 players off a team that made it to the Final Four a couple of years ago. What he and Richard Duran have done there, building this program. Here they are. They're a 6th seed. They're getting a 1st round bye. The disappointment of being a 2-loss team last year, not getting in. Using that as fuel to guide them through this season. They run the slate in the Southland, and then
first time
cameras there yesterday, and you saw, Coach Killow, and he was moved to tears. This means something, and he's such a young guy. It's hard for an older man like me to go, man, this guy, he's so wise and he gets it. Like there's a vision, and he's, I mean, again, I just can't say enough good things about what they've been able to do there. They got dudes, but that's a tough league, and it's really hard to make the FCS playoffs, much less get a bye.
When you look at the future of college football too, which is a larger point that I wanted to get into here with you guys, seems like UIW are going to be ravaged by larger programs. UTSA teams are going to ravage UTSA because of the money aspect of it. Now you have to get into this revenue sharing aspect of it. You get into the NIL. How much do you have to pay players for UTSA and UIWs and all of these places to remain competitive? And Coach, after the game, this is a soundbite from directly after they became bowl eligible in their season from hell. And one of the first things the coach is thinking about is we need to is the revenue sharing aspect. He's always thinking about it. But one of the first things he wants to talk about is the revenue sharing aspect of this and how much UTSA is going to commit to this program.
How do you look at this season in terms of a step forward for the program? I know it's not over yet, but big picture wise, how has this program gotten better?
Oh, well, if you just look, I mean, the AAC is not a joke. I think it's an eye-opener to all of us of what other teams are committing to this new process we're in. And we're going to have to take a look, a big picture view, the true point of how committed are we going to be. They're firing all these coaches, right? Well, they're not taking these jobs unless they're getting what they want, or they're not taking the job. So the revenue sharing is a real thing. Cost of attendance is a real thing. Austin money is a real thing. We got to be in there. And it's one of those kind of moments. Like if she had to call me in and fire me, like the rest of this league's getting fired right now, there's going to be some real decisions y'all have to make on who y'all bring in here and what the next guy's going to want, or you're not going to be successful. And this league is tough. It's a real league. So we'll have to make some decisions because moving forward, this stuff, it's real. There's a lot of pressure right now. And these next few months, or, when the settlement's done, July 25, that's going to be a time for all of us.
Don, you tweeted it out yesterday, and that's how I saw it. Was the Mike Finger article talking about how UTSA, it's time for them to either put their money where their mouth is or kind of go away.
That's a guy right there talking about his president of his university to his president of his university through the media, tired of being told no. I mean, to Lisa's credit, they've done a really good job of increasing their financial commitment to athletics and to football, because they've had to go from, whatever dog conference they were in to Conference USA to AAC. And every step of the way, you have to pay more for your players, more for your coaches, more for your staff, and not just football, but in all sports. And Lisa's done as good a job as she can possibly do at raising money to get by. Now, Jeff, he's the guy getting $1 million from Harvey Najum for the practice field. He's the guy out there in the community getting April Ansira and Bob Wills money and all that kind of stuff. But here's the thing. That all changes in July. In July, schools can give $11 million a year.
Up to $20 million.
Or to 22
for players.
For players. But $11 million is kind of a gauge in that conference. Because they don't have the revenue, right?
Yeah, no one's expecting UTSA to spend $20 million.
It's a percentage of your revenue. So Texas and Alabama
and A&M, and
they can afford the 22, but the percentage. Jeff needs $3 million a year to keep Owen McCown, to keep guys from defecting. He's a heck of a recruiter. He's got these great freshmen, and every year, he lost Trey Moore. I don't know, $750,000, something at UT. And he's had all these guys poached. The culture's kept them around for something, $150,000 a month, whatever. But Taylor Amy has to commit to UTSA, or they're going to be an also-ran. And I think Jeff's plea there is he doesn't know that the university is committed or not. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, this is a tough one, right? Because I don't know what the finances are at that school and who needs what and what other resources are needed. And, I think there's still room enough where there are going to be a lot of players that are just looking for opportunity, right? To show that they can play ball. Look at Zach Calzada UIW. I mean, he's going to win his second player of the week this week again. And pros love his arm talent. And this is a guy that, you know, I would imagine with beating Alabama on your resume when he was at Texas A&M would mean something to a lot of schools. He came here for opportunity, and I know it wasn't the money chasing. So, you know, again, I don't know what the dynamic is in the AAC. I know everybody's throwing money figures out there, but, you know, at some point, somebody's going to have to put their foot down and say, we're an institution of higher learning and we're not a football factory.
Which is fine. And Mike Finger said that exactly yesterday. In fact, it was brilliant what he said. He goes,
such a good writer.
You can be a vegetarian, right? In that regard, we're an institution of higher learning, and you know, we're not going to pay for players. Fine. But you're a vegetarian, but you're entered into a hot dog eating contest. Right. So if you're entered into Division I football in the American Conference, then you have to compete. And if you're not going to, then just drop football or go back to some small conference or whatever. But don't say we're going to compete. And I've heard the comparisons about Army being in that league. Well, those guys are appointed to West Point. They can't leave. Mm-hmm. You know, that quarterback at Army that everybody loves, or Max DiDomenico, he goes there for his first 2 years. He can't leave, right? Meanwhile, Jeff is having kids text him every week, Coach, LSU wants to give me this next year. What can you do? You know?
You get to recruit your own players again.
Yeah, all the time.
I mean, I think what makes it even more difficult just for UTSA, before we get on to a different conversation, is this is what, their 14th year of football?
Yeah.
14th, 13th year of football. Like, this is such a new program. 14 years ago, this was never an issue.
Yeah.
Not only because money couldn't be paid to players, but because you didn't have the program. And Jeff has done such a good job by bringing this program from 3-9, which is what he inherited after Larry Coker, to from what that school was and what their record was to being a perennial contender and spoken about, and perennial winner as well in Conference USA. Now they're in the AAC and they're competing and they're doing their best. But it's like, when you have to compete with the Memphises and the Tulanes and the guys with money, you're not going to win everything. SMU is a small-time program who can pay whatever they want and will now be a perennial power because they have all the money.
That's right.
And so
Memphis's quarterback's getting $1 million.
Yeah, Memphis is one of those teams. Memphis has disappointed this year. I'm surprised that there's not changes going on there with all the money they've spent on their roster, but that's a different point altogether. If you're going to be in this league, if you're going to continue to try and make UTSA the front porch of your school, then you need to invest in that front porch. You're not going to go into a house where the front porch looks like shit.
Yeah, well, you know, either you believe it or you don't, right? And Taylor Amy's been on saying, I believe that the university or football program is the front porch of the university. Okay.
Show me.
Yeah.
Let's get into some fun stuff before we get out of here. Also, I really hope they beat Army this week. I love that they're playing, and I'm trying to get an interview with Max actually on Tuesday.
Yeah, good.
Max DiDomenico, the captain.
Chuck and I were talking yesterday, sandwiched in between Notre Dame and Navy. Army might be looking past them.
They might.
I think Jeff could convince his team that this is their Super Bowl.
100%. Because right now I think they're scheduled they're projected for the First Responder Bowl. In the latest projections, they'll be in a better bowl if they win this one. We might be going back to Frisco, Don.
I think all those bowls are in Frisco, right?
Yeah,
the First Responder.
Going to the Scooter Coffee Bowl again.
The FCS title game is
Smoothie King Tropical Smoothie King Bowl. They went to the Tropical Smoothie King Bowl.
All I'm saying is that
they had good gear, by the way, from that bowl.
All I'm saying is that if ASU makes it to the Big 12 title game, then I will not be here on December 7th. I'm going to go up to Dallas and go to the Big 12 title game.
As you should.
All right, let's get to some Thanksgiving stuff on the way out. So Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays, mainly because it's a football and eating kind of holiday, and those are my two favorite things to do. So favorite Thanksgiving memory, guys. Whoever wants to start, you give me your favorite Thanksgiving memory. It can be food related, family related, whatever you want. Chuck, you first.
Well, I've worked almost every single Thanksgiving since I got into TV, thanks to the Cowboys. And so my memory is not a good one, actually, in terms of sports, because I actually took the day off in the Jason Garrett Dallas Cowboys versus Green Bay Packers to watch that. We had a huge party at my house, only to see Jason Garrett just completely wring our necks that day. But as far as favorite food, my mom makes something. I've told the story a million times. We affectionately call it as stuffnik, where it's stuffing, but it's got Italian sausage in it. And boy, is it good. Not huge chunks of Italian sausage so that it overwhelms you. It's, really fine, granulated, grounded Italian sausage that I could eat that with just gravy till it's coming out of my ears for months, well beyond Thursday, even into the summer months. No problem.
All right. Memory first, Don.
1974. I'm 9 years old.
I'm 21 years away from being born.
Roger Staubach gets injured, and Clint Longley from Abilene Christian comes into the game. Nobody's ever heard him before or since. Throws a 60-yard, much like the McLaurin play yesterday, except it was deeper, to beat the Washington Redskins at the time on Thanksgiving Day. A glorious, glorious comeback win for the Cowboys. And because I was 9 years old, it was really special. Best food, no question, it was Grandma's. My late mother-in-law's sweet potatoes with marshmallows toasted on the top.
I'm not a big marshmallow on my sweet potato fan.
Oh, but it melts so good, and my wife does a great job of recreating Grandma's recipe since she passed, and that's really good. And I really, really like pecan pie.
Pecan pie. That was going to be one of my questions. Pecan, apple, or pumpkin?
I thought you were going to say, is it pecan or pecan?
No.
Okay.
Well, I think it's pecan, but that's a whole nother podcast in
how
of itself.
about blueberry pie?
What?
You guys know the
on Thanksgiving?
The woman that with the
nope.
cooking show?
Don't know her.
Whose son played quarterback at North Texas. Pioneer Woman. It's a cooking show. Ooh. Anyway, she makes all. No, it's my wife watches the food. Anyway,
she sounds like she has company while that's going on.
She lives on this giant, massive ranch in Oklahoma, but she has a cooking show and she makes all this great homemade food or whatever. And you watch her recipes. Anyway, yesterday she's doing Thanksgiving or Saturday, doing a Thanksgiving Day recipes of how you can do different takes on Thanksgiving food. And she did a thing that I've never seen before. She took a blender and she took a giant scoop of vanilla ice cream and she put it in there and she goes, try this on your leftovers 2 or 3 days after Thanksgiving. And she had a couple pieces of pecan pie that were left over. She took one slice of pecan pie, threw it into the blender, the whole thing with the ice cream, poured a little milk, put a little caramel syrup in there, made a pecan pie shake.
Sounds phenomenal. I would eat that or drink that.
Unbelievable.
Bob, favorite Thanksgiving memory?
Back when I was in the military, when I was overseas doing something with NATO.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you very much. They flew in like this whole Thanksgiving deal. We didn't expect anything. We thought, it was another day of crap. But out of nowhere came like all this Thanksgiving food. And a bunch of people from some of the local villages came and stuff. It was really cool. It was.
Where were you stationed?
It was.
It was classified.
Yeah.
You can't talk about it.
Wow.
Non-disclosure.
Pecan, pumpkin, or apple, Bob?
Well, pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving. I don't understand why anybody would eat it.
I love pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie is what you eat at Thanksgiving.
I love
two things that you would never eat any other time less: turkey, which is an awful meat, and cranberry sauce. And I refuse to eat pumpkin pie. I was just like,
what?
It's not very good.
It's great.
It's not as good as other pies.
Cranberry sauce out of the can with the ripples on it.
Yeah, the jelly.
The can.
I bought 3. I bought 3 cans yesterday just in case they didn't have any.
My sister will die if she doesn't have cranberry sauce. It's cranberry jelly. It's not cranberry sauce.
I don't touch it.
I don't want that with all the stuff in it and everything.
Yeah, I made
the jelly.
So at my house when I was a kid, my mom and grandma didn't want to make Thanksgiving dinner anymore, so they were just going to start buying everything. And I was like, no, I'll start making it. So when I was like 14 years old, I started making Thanksgiving dinner, and I made it for the next 6 years or so. Thanksgiving or turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, sweet potato casserole. My mom would make green bean casserole, which is disgusting. But besides that, I would make everything. And so my sister.
Did you ever fry the turkey?
I did not fry the turkey. I didn't trust my mom didn't trust me, and I didn't trust myself to fry the turkey. No, but I would make everything. But my sister always wanted on the sweet potato casserole would always want marshmallows, and and since I was cooking, I was like, no, I don't.
Jumbo
like the
or
marshmallows
small?
on she would always want the little ones.
No.
And so I would always make like a crumble on top of it, brown sugar, pecans, and whatnot to go on top of it. And that's how I always made it. But
sounds like you should have a cookie show.
my sister and I got into a fight every year. This is one of my favorite memories. My sister got into a fight with me every year because my sister is a non-utensil user. She is a finger person. And so when I'm cooking, I don't want anyone's fingers in the damn food. And so she would come in and she'd be like, "Oh, what are you making?" I was like, "Morgan,
don't touch the food.
10 people are about to eat this, and they all have your saliva like in the food." And she's like, "It's all family." I'm like, "What? No, ew, gross." My other favorite Thanksgiving memory is 6 years ago. So 2019, I think. 2019? Yeah, 2019. So
5 years ago.
Well, technically it's 6 Thanksgivings ago because it's the first one for 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24.
Okay.
Including this coming Thanksgiving. So it was the first one. Jordan and I had just been dating for like 3 months. And so she didn't have anywhere to go on Thanksgiving and we were both at school. So I was like, "Why don't you come home and meet my family?" So big moment. Yeah, brought her home to meet the family. And so we're all sitting down around the table. Everything's going well. And we all go around and say what we're thankful for. And for no reason, I was saying what I was thankful for. And I was like, "I'm thankful that you all have accepted Jordan into our family. I think she's going to be around for a long time." I was bawling. That was one of my favorite Thanksgivings because I think it was then that I knew that I was going to marry that chick. So
wow.
Well done.
Also pumpkin.
You didn't screw that up.
No, didn't screw that one up. Married up for sure. Pumpkin pie over apple but apple crumbles really close. Sweet potato casserole is my favorite dish, and turkey over ham all day.
Slice of cheddar cheese on your apple pie.
Stop. No, I'm not even going to try it.
Hey, Tom Guerrero from the business office says, "Happy
Shout out
Thanksgiving to all."
Happy Thanksgiving.
TG.
Yes, sir.
Shout out Tom Guerrero.
And
All
he
right.
says smoked turkey is the best.
Smoked turkey, pretty good. I've been seeing a lot of different recipes for turkey, but we're already going long. I'm going to get out of here. Javier, you have a favorite pie? All right, we're done. Javier doesn't like pie. We're done. We're out of here. He's like, "I'll just take the cheese off of your pie, and I'll eat that." Anyway, that's all we got for you today on the Sneakers Cleats podcast. Everyone have a happy Thanksgiving. Remember to download, rate, review, subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating. Tell a friend, tell an enemy. Happy Thanksgiving to all, and to all a good night. We'll see you on Monday.